Hello, this is James Parsons, retired civics teacher, and this is Just Civics. I'd like to continue our discussion about watching the news. I previously talked about why watching just one station all day long and just soaking it in might not be the best way to get quality information. If we look at option 2, that is watching just one station an hour or two every day, we have to be careful that we don't make the same mistakes we made with option 1. If you're going to listen to just one station, then you have to be very careful in finding an unbiased station, or at least one as unbiased and truthful as possible. The alternative is to listen to several stations throughout the day, comparing information back and forth. Obviously, this defeats the purpose of just getting updated once or twice a day. But finding an unbiased news station is difficult, primarily because of the profit motive we've discussed earlier. Some sources do have minimum bias, but I'm not going to share these sources with you. If I did, my own presentation would be suspect. My purpose is not to tell you what to think. My purpose is to help you find quality information upon which to base your own well thought out opinions. But I can give you some tips. First, you might simply research the internet for unbiased news sources. There are services that rank news sources according to bias and truthfulness. If you only listen to one source, you probably ought to pick one of these stations that's nearest the center of the political spectrum with a high ranking for truth. Once your source is identified, you still have work to do. You have to look at who funds the source, who writes the news, who sits on their editorial board, and so forth. These questions will give you some insight as to whether or not there's a hidden bias or agenda. This sounds like a lot of work, but it really isn't. Once it's done, you simply have your source and you can refer back to it. Another tip, depending on the story, you can look at foreign sources. There is no Democrat or Republican in Germany or Japan. Foreign sources do not cover all the programs or stories that you might get in this nation, but what they do report has little homegrown bias. You also might get a very unique perspective on this nation from the rest of the world. How effectively you apply this tip or others will depend on how honest you are with yourself. Remember our old friend opinion? You will always have a tendency to gravitate toward those sources that tend to support your preconceived opinions. These sources will just feel better. And you'll have to guard against that feeling if you want unbiased, truthful news sources. And unbiased truth is the bedrock of a good decision. Thank you for listening.